The Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali-led administration has been accelerating its agricultural policies to make Guyana a food-secure nation, and the rice industry is leading the way. Dr. Ali's mandate also extends to the Caribbean community CARICOM, where he has responsibility for agriculture, agriculture diversification, and food security. Halfway through the president's first term in office, Guyana can proudly state that rice is meeting the food security agenda through a mix of investments in research and development, hard work, and strong policy initiatives.
We have developed so many varieties and that are specifically well adapted to our local conditions, and our conditions are very tough for rice to grow, especially we are growing rice pre-germinated seeds in direct seeded condition on the flooded waters, and our water doesn't get to drain as we would like because we have a challenged drainage system that we inherit. So we have to get plants that have extra early vigor to come through those conditions and stand well in the field, resist diseases like blast, and also able to stand up well during maturity and harvesting. They have to able to withstand lodging. And most importantly, we have to be competitive in terms of our yields. When we started, if you look at 10, 20 years back, our performance were like, yield performance were like 4 tons per hectare, 3.9, 2001, and 2020 we are like almost 4 tons per hectare, and that's the chunk of what the research have done. The genetic improvement of the crop and backed by sound management practice, and it's all a work in progress. It doesn't stop there. We see ourselves 7-8 tons per hectare in the coming years, but it's work in progress. GRDB per se have developed 16 varieties so far. I'll tell you, the last four varieties GRDB 4, 10, 14, 15, and 16 have occupied over 80% of our cultivation as we speak. So that's an extent of our work and acceptance by farmers. And these varieties have, apart from the high yielding ability, some of these varieties could yield up to 7, 8, 9 tons per hectare. So 10, 20 years back when you were hearing about 30, 40 bags per acre, that was high yield. Now we can talk about 40, 50 bags per acre, and even beyond that under optimum conditions. So that's where we are. And having said that, yield is one component of that we have to ensure that we are optimizing our yield performance in the field. But at the side of that, Guyana, as it stands now, we are exporting 75% of what we produce, and inherently we are exporting over 100 years now. Our quality has to be tip-top. So we have to put sufficient effort in terms of our quality traits, in terms of milling recovery, cooking qualities, and shelf life, and all these things. So that has to be excellent for us to keep our markets and so on. So all these varieties, the criteria is that they must have excellent milling and cooking qualities. So apart from the yield, they are like, and plus they are resistant to field diseases like blast, which is dreadful in some parts of the world, and even in Guyana. But we have gone away to incorporate genetic resistance in to combat that disease. So that is the extent of our work. Plants now, we were accustomed to a season where the rice plant, we sow, we know what, we go at maybe in August, September, we start harvesting, there is no rains, or we harvesting in March, we started harvest now, March, and there's rain. So our system, if you know, we have most of our access dams and so on are basically clay. When rain falls for a day or so, it becomes very inaccessible. The fields become very bad because it's heavy clay, machinery cannot operate. So the issue what we have with varieties, if they are left when rain falls, they cannot be harvested on time. We are sowing to harvest on time to have the best milling and cooking recovery and so on. So when a plant cannot be harvested on time, on the opportune date of harvest, it started to deteriorate. So that's what climate is pushing us. So now we are forced to have varieties now that can withstand delayed harvesting, because that's what we are left with. We can't say that we're going to harvest on time. It's never going to happen. So we want a plant now that will not lodge very quickly, that falls over and the grain all get messed up and shattered. We want a plant that stands up for a longer period of time, a week or two more. We need a plant that the grain would not start deteriorate so fast, or the rate of deterioration is so slow that we would not, it would not be of a significant economic value that we lost due to delayed harvesting by a week or two. So taking those two things into consideration, we have really worked on those. Almost all our varieties now, 14, 15, 16, they are tolerant to lodging. 10 is not so much, it's maybe a 15, 30%, and in bad condition it could go more, but 14, 15, 16, even 12 and 11, all these varieties are tolerant to lodging. And that's because the architect of the plant has built in such a way that it can withstand our local conditions. You could harvest 1-2 weeks later and you wouldn't have any deterioration in the grain. So we have achieved that.
In here we basically screening for flood tolerance. So actually we already did a screening before. So with the ones that look promising, we actually repeating back the trial again to just confirm if everything went well or whatever. Basically, what we're looking for is that to combat the flood, normally the rice plant, we're screening to see if it had the flood tolerant gene. So when we submerge, if it have the flood tolerant gene, the plant will just hibernate.
In developing high-yielding, disease-resistant rice that thrive in flooding conditions as a result of climate change, Dr. Prasad is being honored with the Caribbean Excellence for Science and Technology Anthony N. Sabga Award. Under his leadership, Guyana's rice yields have increased from a national average of 4 tons per hectare to 6 tons per hectare, second only to China as the top global producer.
We cultivate between 80 to 100,000, a touch under 100,000 per season. We have 2 distinct seasons for rice. The first one, we started to planting the crop somewhere in mid-November, and we are advising farmers and everyone to complete sowing before the end of December. So that's our first season of sowing. Our rice crop, our varieties and our system is so designed, all the varieties are around 100, 110, 115 days. So at that time of sowing, we'll start harvest around first week of March. We started to harvest first week of March, and then harvesting first week of March will complete around sometime in April, first week of April, or even a little later in April. Later farmers will go, and then we start again sowing the second crop by the 15th of May. And that goes, harvesting will start sometime late August or early September. So that closes the 2 season for us. And it is so built that the vegetative part of the plant, when we sow in November, you'll have some rains in November, December, January. That's good for vegetative growth of the plant. And when the plant ready to start in the maturity stage to bear flowers, and the rain will go, and then you have good sunshine in February and March for grain filling and higher productivity. So that kicks in. Similar the case in August and in July, August, we have good sunshine for grain filling flowering, grain filling, and higher productivity. So that's defined the two seasons. Quite often, someone will say that we are having 6 tons per hectare. This is not sufficient. We have a team of researchers, a young team of researchers, really working hard in all fronts to get this over. I don't like to compare, right? But some of the bigger countries that have over 200 scientists have not able to raise their yields to 4 tons per hectare, much less to 6 tons per hectare. And we have done so. I'm very proud of not only the team, we have some very, very good farmers, very innovative farmers. They will push you, they will help you, and they have supported the research team all through the process.
As an entomologist, I have to look at all the insect pests that affect rice in field and in storage and study them, understand them, try to think like them in some cases, and then do the different research that's necessary to come up with a package of practices to be able to make the recommendations for managing them.
Our role mainly here is to find solutions to all pest and disease problem in rice. To start off with the disease aspect, we have 5 major diseases affecting our rice crop. Rice blast, Pyracleria griseae, sheet blight, Rhizoctonia solani, brown spot, Bipolaris oryzae, sheet rot, Sarcoidomus oryzae, and grain discoloration, which is caused by a complex group of microorganisms called Valeria lunata, and some of the other pathogen that I also mentioned is associated with the grain discoloration. So our role is to find solution in terms of managing those major disease issue. What we are doing, the first and foremost, as blast being the number one pathogen, we are looking for resistant material. So we are doing a seasonal screening of approximately 4,000 to 5,000 new rice germplasm accession that we receive from the plant breeding department. And
Right here at
Burma. Because they do the crosses and create the variability in order to come up with new strains or rice varieties. So our role is to evaluate those varieties for resistance, disease resistant. So that is one of our major focus.
My task as an agronomist, basically, after Dr. Mahendra Prasad complete the breeding process and release of a variety, my job is to prepare a package of practice that will enhance the performance and yield of the variety in the field. That is to say, to realize its maximum potential yield. So part of the package of practice entails a crop establishment method, how best you can establish the crop. This also includes land preparation, water management, weed management, and the more important part of it is the crop nutrition itself. So one of the biggest issues of the soil in Guyana, it's considered slightly to moderately acidic. And because of that nature of the soil, the uptake or the availability of certain nutrients to the crop is becoming limited or is being locked off from uptaking from the rice crop. As such, we are realizing low yields. So one of our main projects this year is to embark largely on liming of soil. That is adding of calcium carbonate or dolomitic type of limestone to improve the pH of the soil. Once we improve the pH of the soil, we will basically improve the quality of the soil in terms of its nutrient status and the availability of the essential plant nutrients to the crop, thereby realizing very high yields. So at the end of the day, once you make the soil in a better condition for the plant to uptake, it means nutrients which we are now having one variety about to release for high zinc content, it means the nutrient level uptake in the grain itself becomes more fortified. There's more nutrients, so it's a better quality grain for the consumer themselves to accept and for cooking and so on.
I think Guyana has produced one of the better qualities of rice across the world. I have no apologies to make as we speak. Our rice is second to none. There's a class of rice also that's fragrant, that's in a different class like the basmati. But under all the conventional rice in terms of our grain length and quality, the milling, cooking, we are up to par with anyone in any part of the world. I'm very proud to say that. We are striving to ensure that our quality, all aspects, we can optimize it, optimize our quality, our milling, our cooking, and everything else, so that we can continue to stay on the competitive edge on the market, because the market is a free market, and our buyers are looking to get a notch over everyone else. So if you turn up with good quality, you will stay a little ahead of the game. We have an excellent quality control department that ensure our quality from harvesting to marketing is intact. And all the standard protocols are maintained to ensure that what we export only the best quality. In terms of research and development, I agree with you. Rice is not only a way of life. It has to be a business, and we have to be on the competitive edge at all junctions to ensure that we not only being food secure, because in terms of rice we are food secure, but we want to be competitive. It must be profitable, and so that we can sustain ourselves and we can encourage more of the young persons to be entrepreneurs in rice, and that's something that we are working on. We have good, strong government policy, highly favoring rice and rice development and the rice industry, and we have good support, right, from the management and the government itself in terms of developing rice research and development. So at this point in time, I don't think anyone can complain in terms of support. I think we have the most friendly support from the policymakers for research and development, and that is so necessary when we can talk of all that we have done, right? But if we don't look at where we are going, it will mean nothing in the coming years, and that's where you need the strong support from have policy in place to ensure that we stay ahead of the game. For us to maximize our productivity and to not only sustain our high level of production, we need to improve it also. And we have working on, like for example, we're working on some better nutrient management practices in which we have established a soil lab now. So we have what we call, we want to do what site-specific nutrient management. We'll test a farmer's field and tell him exactly what to use to improve his productivity to a higher level. We are looking at a nano fertilizer as a new technology. We're looking at their issues also with still the issue of paddy bug, which is one of the more dreadful pests. We talk about blast, we have control, but still we are battling, and I must say, with paddy bug. And it would not be nice of me not to say that. But we are looking at biological control and use of biopesticides and have an integrated pest management to battle that, to combat that pest. So we are working on that front also. You would have heard the minister and many persons talking about improved nutrition. We're talking about an elevated level of zinc in rice. Now we have gone this far, we could talk about improving the nutritional content of rice. As we speak, we have one entry, one genotype, one breeding line been testing in farmers. We have to look at its suitability for a possible release. The future of rice for Guyana is very good. It's very clear in my mind, and from where we have to go now, we certainly have to sustain our high level of production, improve it, right, in the face of climate change and high cost of inputs. So, and also with all the new technologies that's coming on, we have to incorporate it, and so that we can be more efficient and more scientific and better able to be more competitive at the end. So, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. Every player in the whole industry, all the players will have to keep doing what they're doing and keep improving. I think we are well placed, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. One of the things that I thought, and we now look at it very seriously, is aromatics. Fragrant rice, it's a niche market and it's a high price market, and if we can have a variety that can perform well in that market, it will give our farmers at least 50% more on their paycheck. Let me tell you why. Because the normal market, conventional rice traded maybe 400 US per ton. The lowest aromatic rice has been traded on is 700, 800, 900, 1,000, and if the quality can even go up to 1,200. So if we have an aromatic variety that can be traded at 600 or 700 as compared to 400, you can see the cut there for the industry itself. We export to over 40 countries as we speak across the world. Latin America, Caribbean, even in we export even to Panama, Colombia that grows rice, and even I've seen even Costa Rica, all these countries who even produces rice, we export rice to them. So our list is, and it keeps growing, because as more people are getting aware and accustomed to our high standards and quality of rice that we produce, it will only grow. That to say, and it go beyond that. I have expectation that it will grow even beyond to the 40-something countries, because we're working on some things that could really put us on the map in a very nice way in the next coming years.
It is reasonable to say that Guyana's food security pathway is secure and rice is leading the way. Guyana's accomplishment is due to strong leadership, vision and policies, the ingredients for our success, and confirmation that President Ali's administration is indeed leading from the front.